knows a lot about the science stuff. Professor Dave explains.
As we discussed in the previous tutorial, there are only 3 orders of extant amphibians, and nearly 90% of all living species are within the order Anura, the frogs. A frog is defined as any member of the diverse and largely carnivorous group of short-bodied, tailless amphibians that comprise the order Anura. We'll review this order by going over their general characteristics, locomotion, life history, distribution, and finally a more detailed look at their diversity. As we mentioned, frogs are extremely diverse. In fact, there are more extant species of frogs than mammals. They are usually tailless as adults, with powerful hind limbs, and carnivorous. Along with their unique body structure, diversity, and carnivorous diet, they are also noted for their smooth, thin, moist skin, their larval stage that is known as a tadpole, large eyes, amphibious lifestyle, and diverse array of loud vocalizations that are distinct by species and mainly done by males to attract a mate. However, individual frogs do have different types of calls, such as territorial calls, distress calls, warning calls, and release calls, all of which may be slightly to extremely different from a species' mating call. Adult frogs are capable of jumping, running, walking, swimming, burrowing, climbing, and even gliding. They are probably most well known as extraordinary jumpers, and at least one species, the striped rocket frog, can jump more than 50 times its body length, which would be like a human jumping nearly the entire length of a football field. However, not all frogs have the ability to jump such distances. Frogs in the families Bufonidae, Rhinophrynidae, and Microhylidae, for example, have rather short hind limbs and tend to walk or hop rather than jump or leap. Meanwhile, frogs that live in or visit water often generally have strong hind limbs and webbed feet for swimming, while frogs adapted to burrowing, like the purple frog and the rain frogs, tend to have rounded bodies, small heads, and short limbs adapted for excavation. Those that live high in the forest canopy, like the tree frogs, tend to scramble around branches and leaves and have long, slender limbs, like the true tree frogs, glass frogs, and bush frogs. A few species of these arboreal frogs, such as Wallace's flying frog, have extremely large feet, expanded fingertips, and flaps of skin that allow them to glide through the forest, but not actually fly. Frogs have perhaps the most well-known life history of the amphibians. There are 2 main forms of reproductive strategies: prolonged breeding and explosive breeding. Explosive breeders, like the spadefoot toads, tend to call in unison, creating a chorus that can be heard from far away. Both sexes then converge on a single pool, and mating is often only a few nights. In the prolonged breeders, there is a longer season. Males may call for nights on end and defend their territories from invaders. Males often arrive at the breeding location first and spend a great deal of time there, while females visit, can be more selective about their choice of mate, and then leave after laying their eggs. To physically mate, many frogs clasp the females in amplexus, and she finds her way to a suitable location to lay her eggs, that will often develop into tadpoles, though in the direct developers, they hatch directly into small adults. The tadpoles are often vegetarian and may remain as tadpoles for just a few months to several years, depending on the species, before they begin to metamorphosize into adults and subsequently sexually mature. Frogs have the widest distribution of all amphibians. They are found on every continent except Antarctica and are only absent from some islands, deserts, and polar regions. But there are species that inhabit deserts, like those of the genus Cyclorana, that bury themselves underground and estivate. Others, like the wood frog, extend their habitat into the Arctic Circle and allow much of their body to freeze during certain times, though they maintain a high concentration of glucose in the vital organs, which protects them from damage. Finally, before going over Anuran diversity, it's worth mentioning that the common names frog and toad have no taxonomic justification. From a classification perspective, all members of the order Anura are frogs, but only members of the family Bufonidae are considered true toads. But then again, the European fire-bellied toad isn't a true toad, while the Panamanian golden frog is actually in the family Bufonidae, but we call it a frog. Such are the issues with common names. Regardless, extant Anurans are generally divided into 3 suborders: Archaeobatrachia, Mesobatrachia, and Neobatrachia, though this separation has been debated in recent years. Members of Archaeobatrachia share more characteristics with extinct Anurans than the other suborders, and include just 4 families. They include the tailed frogs, which maintain their tails as adults, the fire-bellied toads, notable for their distinct coloration used to ward off predators, the painted frogs or midwife toads, and a few species native to New Zealand, such as Hochstetter's frog. Suborder Mesobatrachia includes a wider range of forms, such as the long-nosed horned frog, though most are burrowing species, such as the spadefoots and spadefoot toads, and Mexican burrowing toad. This group also includes the parsley frogs, the common Suriname toad, notable for its unique brooding method, where the young emerge from the dorsal end of the female, 4 species of dwarf clawed frogs, and the African clawed frog, all of which are fully aquatic frogs as adults. Several of these species are common in the pet trade, and though they are native to Africa, they have now established introduced populations in North and South America, Europe, and Asia. Lastly, Neobatrachia includes all modern frogs, a wide range of families and species. The largest family in terms of biodiversity is Hylidae, which includes over 1,000 species. Members are often referred to as tree frogs, and they include some very charismatic species, such as the red-eyed tree frog. The second most diverse family is Strabomantidae, a family of frogs native only to South America, notable in that they are often very small as adults and lack the free-living larval tadpole stage. Instead, they directly hatch as miniature adults. There is also Microhylidae, commonly called narrow-mouthed frogs, which includes mainly ground-dwelling species. Another highly diverse family is Bufonidae, all members of which are referred to as true toads, and many of which have distinct poison glands on the sides of their head. Many members also have drier, bumpy skin, thick bodies, and darker coloration, though this group also includes thin and colorful species like the harlequin toad, or clown frog, and the Panamanian golden frog. Other families include the marsupial frogs that are notable for their arboreal lifestyle and dorsal brood pouch, the screeching frogs such as the booyah screeching frog, and the hairy frog, named for the hair-like structures on the body and thighs of the breeding male, carnivorous tadpoles, and retractable claws, which it may project through the skin and are apparently created by the purposeful method of breaking bones as a defense mechanism. Additional groups include the rain frogs, such as the Cape rain frog, saddleback toads, such as the bioluminescent pumpkin toadlet, glass frogs, some of which have transparent abdominal skin and green bones, the ghost frogs, shrub frogs, which include at least one additional species of gliding frog, Australian ground frogs, Darwin's frogs, notable for the unique ability of the males to brood the eggs and tadpoles within their vocal pouch, Seychelles frogs, which include some of the smallest frogs in the world, the often brilliantly colored members of Mantellidae and Hyperaliidae, the shovel-nose frogs, the often ornate backpack frogs that also brood their young on their backs, and the dancing frogs, which get their name from the unique foot-flagging behavior of the male during courtship. Finally, there are 2 families of frogs that are quite diverse and well known. Those are the true frogs of family Ranidae, which include the wood frog, American bullfrog, leopard frog, and the edible frog, which, as its common name suggests, is the species most commonly consumed by humans, especially in Europe where it is native and is known by a host of other common names. And let's finish this tutorial with the poison dart frogs of Dendrobatidae, which are native to Central and South America. These are diurnal hunters, many of which are famous for their brightly colored bodies and toxicity that they acquire exogenously, meaning it is actually due to their specific diet of mainly ants, termites, centipedes, and mites. Captive bred individuals have non-detectable levels of toxins. And that wraps up the diversity of the extant amphibians. Let's move forward and introduce the sister clade to the amphibians, the amniotes.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Support me on Patreon so I can keep making content. And as always, feel free to email me, ProfessorDaveExplains@gmail.com.